This week on ConversionCast, we're going to be talking about the intricacies of turning readers into subscribers, Facebook's new VR spaces, the success of just last week's Amazon Prime Day, and hyper-personalization, as well as a roundtable discussion about the pursuit of going viral. We're going to do all that and more this week on ConversionCast. Hello, this is ConversionCast, brought to you by the team at Drip and Leadpages, where we bring you the latest in marketing news, tips, interviews, advice, discussions every single week. Wherever you're watching us today, go ahead and give us a follow, a like, a subscribe, throw some comments in there. ConversionCast is meant to be for you marketers out there, and we want to make it as good as we can for you. So let us know what you want, what you like, what you don't, and we'll keep things moving. I'm joined this week by my esteemed colleagues and good friends, Brandon, Liz, Josh. How are you guys?
Good.
Great. Fantastic.
Good. How are you?
To ConversionCast. I'm good, man. I'm really good.
Good.
I'm happy to have everybody here. Especially we have a newcomer, Liz.
Hey.
Welcome, Liz. Welcome.
Thanks.
Are you excited to be here?
I'm so excited.
Good. We're excited to have you.
Oh, thanks.
We're going to kick things off this week with marketing news. Who wants to start? Who has something that Josh?
I got something. So
ready for it.
Last week, the product marketer, head of product management, actually, Mike Booth from Facebook, announced that Facebook Spaces would now be streamable live. And so if you don't know what Facebook Spaces are,
yeah, please.
They were announced back in April of last year, or this year, allows you to use your Oculus Rift to create virtual spaces that you can then hang out in with your friends.
So cool.
Yep, very, very cool. And now Facebook's saying you can live stream those. So two trends, VR and live streaming, meeting together, and powerful new venue for marketers, right?
So if we all had an Oculus, we could be doing this show in a live streamed space.
Absolutely.
From our Oculus Rifts.
The videos they were showing were really cool because they were showing two people hanging out, and they're like, oh, let me show you like what our trip's gonna look like, and then all of a sudden the space was the middle of the Grand Canyon and they're flying through it and stuff like that. So
whoa.
Yeah, this the set here and things like that, I'm starting to rethink maybe we should have just bought an Oculus.
Yeah, right. Or 4 of them.
Yeah, well, no, I think the set's good.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Josh. That is very cool. I'm excited to see where that goes. Mm-hmm. Liz?
Sure. Well, last week was Amazon Prime Day, and in case you didn't put up your Prime Day tree, it's basically like become this big holiday almost that Amazon has created. It's its 3rd year doing it. Yeah. It started in 2015. After they wanted to celebrate their 20th anniversary, but actually it was a way to increase their Prime membership count.
Sure.
And in case you don't know what Prime Day is, if you don't do Amazon, it's where they steeply discount over 100,000 items for an entire day.
I didn't know it was that many.
And only Prime members can get access to these discounts, so it's a good carrot at the end of the stick to become a Prime member for that day.
Sure.
And I was reading this article about it. So it was wildly successful this year. It outdid their Black Friday sales and their Cyber Monday sales.
Oh, wow.
And I was reading this article called 3 Lessons from Amazon's One-Day Event, put out by Forbes. And what I found surprising about it is that to make this such a popular holiday-level event, is Amazon is basically using strategies that anyone else can use, like the smallest business can use. So basically they just were... they wanted to do an event, they weren't sure, so they just identified their high-value customer segments, high-value behaviors, and high-value actions. And they were like, our Prime members spend more than our non-Prime members. What can we do to emphasize that and get people to join?
Sure.
They also utilize some FOMO, some fear of missing out, because only Prime Day members can take part in these discounts. And then they also send out email campaigns leading up to their event. I'm not even a Prime member, but I also got 3 emails in the week prior to the event being like, look at all these great things. You can buy a 42-inch TV for $6. And I'd be like, oh, I better be, if you become a Prime member, it basically pays for itself to buy that TV. And so I thought it was interesting that it's the biggest shopping event of the year, and they used super simple tactics to make it huge.
I put my dash button under my pillow, and there was a roll of paper towels delivered by the Prime Fairy the next day. It was amazing.
Amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, one thing that I noticed is I didn't even take advantage of any of the specific deals that were happening during Prime Day.
Yeah.
But I just I bought more that day. So I think a
'Cause
lot
you were
of
cruising around on the site.
yeah, and I just think a lot of top of the mind type of aspects went into that.
Yeah.
So a ton of marketing. Everyone's talking about Prime Day. You might not take advantage of those specific deals, but you'll be on the site anyway.
Yeah.
So
Since I'm here,
Right.
let me
Since
just-
I'm here.
might as well buy
I mean,
that
it's
paper
true.
towel
That's
and
right.
something
Yeah.
else for sure. Brandon,
yeah.
what you got this week?
Yeah.
What struck you?
Sure. So I came across an article by Scott Hymes. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He's the CMO over at SendGrid. He wrote an article on Marketing Land that talks about custom dynamic email is really giving marketers a way to make sure that their messaging is hyper-personalized and making sure that they're reaching their prospective customers or their current customers in the right way. And the way that you're trying to do that is just basically taking all that data that when your customers are opting in for, what they're opting in for, what pages that they're visiting on your website, and making sure that you're delivering the right content at the right time to make sure that they convert. So it's kind of going after the segment of one. So your messaging is extremely segmented, and you're talking directly to that person, almost like a one-on-one basis. So we're kind of striving to the segment of one. It's going to take some time to do that, but there's pieces that are coming into place that's going to be able to allow us to get hyper-personalized with our content.
I think the key here is dynamic too, right?
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
You can't create 100 flavors of everything, but if you can replace a value based on something that you know in your database, that's golden, right?
Yeah.
And I think either Josh or Brandon, can you guys, I feel like a lot of people, they think of the traditional like first name macro, like that's kind of what some people still kind of think about. Can you guys, either of you, go a little bit further in terms of like maybe more what that dynamic sort of stuff looks like in emails these days?
Sure. I mean, there's a million things that you can do to personalize.
Right.
I think some of the best examples that I've seen are taking the current day and then adding some time to it, or if you know like a certain deadline of a customer, using that as a way to increase urgency. Hurry, this offer expires in 3 days, and that
Sure.
3 is calculated based on some function of what you know about a user or something like that.
Got
Those
it.
are really that moving from beyond just, hey, insert what I know about you, to, hey, insert what you care about, and have that be part of the dynamic marketing.
I love that.
And something else that he kind of calls out is he mentions building micro apps within your email. So almost ways to create conversions within the email, as opposed to having someone click on something, go to a landing page, opt in or purchase on that landing page. Have that conversion happen right in the email. In Leadpages, we do something similar with lead links, but this is more almost having a checkout widget right within the email.
Wow.
And you
Like
can
the
do that
trigger
now
links
with
and
micro apps.
drip too.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys all for your brains and for your news. That's this week's news. We'll be right back on ConversionCast with this week's roundtable discussion. This episode of ConversionCast is brought to you by Converted, the nation's premier marketing conference from the team at Leadpages and Drip. Join us for 2 days of networking, fun, and education. You'll learn proven conversion marketing campaigns and see presentations from 15 experts, including our keynote speaker, film director, and podcaster Kevin Smith. We hope you'll join us at Converted this October 17th and 18th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Tickets are on sale now at converted.com. Welcome back to ConversionCast. We are here with Josh, Liz, and Brandon talking about this week's marketing news. You just heard that. We're moving now to our roundtable discussion. Today we're talking about virality. And this is a subject that we've been asked about, we get asked about, and today we want to talk about the pursuit of virality. And I kind of want to pose the question to you all, whether or not going viral is good for you. I feel like we get this a lot from people. There's always the how to go viral. It's almost like people kind of try to pick apart an equation, and this seems to be one of those strategies that people want. They aim for it, maybe more so than other strategies. Is going viral good for you? And how do you do it, or do you even want to do it? I'm curious to your guys' thoughts today.
I feel like going viral is a result, right? Like that's typically what happens when your marketing was so successful that people are sharing it.
Sure.
Right? And I think I don't know, the question of like, is it a good thing? Yeah, always, right? Like, is it good to try and manufacture it? Maybe that's where we talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess it depends. I mean, you could have some really bad news come out, or some things that happen within the company go viral that could you know, do some negative. But from a marketing aspects, yeah, I mean, going viral is a positive thing, but I don't think it's a forced thing. I don't think breaking it down for an equation is necessarily going to do you well on making sure something goes viral. It's almost just trust in your marketing, trust in your messaging, and if it resonates with people, it'll go viral. And you see that happen with, you know, that most recent MailChimp campaign.
Yep.
That thing went crazy viral.
Yes.
And was all over the place. And
You're talking about the MailShrimp one.
the
right?
MailShrimp.
If you haven't seen the MailShrimp one, it's like this like slow long zoom in on this it's like the serenade, right? Like this, you're hearing this song, it's this beautiful song, right? And at the very end it zooms in on this person eating a sandwich, and it's this little shrimp singing, right? And it's like MailShrimp, right? And
yeah.
And it is so absurd. If you haven't seen it, just Google it. I'm sure we'll put it in the show notes or whatever. But that was the oddest but most standout thing I think I've seen them do, right?
Yeah. And they had what? 6 different other campaigns, all kind of wrapped in within that one
Mail
campaign.
crimp was like mail hair crimping or something.
Yeah.
Well, and this to me, I think, is part of why I wanted to pose this question and why I have some complicated thoughts and feelings about this stuff, is because who would have known that a small singing shrimp on a sandwich would necessarily drive the level of attention that this drew? Or in some ways I go, how do you dissect something like that? Because it is sort of odd and strange, and we've all seen things go viral that are odd and strange, but we've also seen things that go viral for very different reasons. So the equation itself seems almost impossible to break apart.
I mean, I do think you have people that are like, I don't think if you search for viral marketing or whatever, you're probably going to get a lot of crap in those search results. But you are hearing a lot of people talk about like real-time marketing, and that's kind of a grown-up thing, or that's a grown-up version of trying to go viral, right?
Yeah.
And I think those tenets involve things like, first of all, like being like, what does it mean to be on brand for a brand, right? MailChimp, they knew exactly who they were, what their identity was, and what they could do, so that if they do something that's going to go viral, it's going to be something that they want to be known for, right? So that's like, you know, that's like an example of one of the rules, like what direction or what angle or what emotion are you going to try and, you know, hit. And then you've got other things like timing. For example, probably the biggest example of, you know, going viral done right in the last couple of years is like the Oreo thing from the Super Bowl when the lights went out. You can dunk them in the dark type thing. So I know that they didn't have that idea going into it, but I guarantee you there was a creative director and a designer sitting there watching the Super Bowl, and they were staffed that night to do something, right? And they said, we got to do something. And when the lights went out, they're like, boom, done it, you know, and they were sitting there waiting to strike. And so I feel like there are some things that you can do to like increase your chances of taking advantage of the moment without necessarily trying to like go viral.
Yeah, that's well said.
I feel like it's easier for a company like Oreo or Nabisco or whatever to do something that's viral because they are the influencer and they can put it out there. But I think you have to be careful if you're striving for a campaign to go viral, you have to be careful about who the influencers are that are spreading that message, because if it gets into the hands of like too many influencers, like maybe some don't necessarily align with your brand or aren't spreading it necessarily how you want to. So I think going viral and having that goal can be kind of tricky if you aren't the influencer yourself and you don't have that audience built in already.
That makes sense.
So I think there's a good example of that. Maybe like one of the right when people like mainstream started to get onto the internet, like maybe mid 2000s or so, and then things started to go viral, and Charlie Bit Me was a thing, and things like that. Does anybody remember Chuck Testa, the taxidermist?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So this guy,
that's over my head. I don't know that one.
Okay, so we're gonna have to link to this in the show notes too, right?
Okay.
But he wasn't an influencer either, you know. But he sat there and reaped the benefits of like pretty much every single person on the internet because they shared his video so much.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm dating myself here.
Back when
the internet was only,
things that used to go viral back in my day. Well, it's interesting too. Do you guys think about? I know we generally talk about viral a lot with video. Video seems to be often, but like to your point about the social, the Duncan in the Dark was a social post, right? Wasn't it like a tweet with an image?
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything that you can think of that are good examples of people who went viral? Maybe not necessarily in the way that we think about it with like viral video, but just something that like built and built and built and built. Because I feel like we see that sometimes too, where you just see something get shared and shared and shared again because it's such a good piece of content, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a video. Anything come to mind or anything you can think of?
Oh gosh, there's a couple pieces that I can think of, but there was like one article about SEO headlines.
Yeah.
Who wrote that? That's been going out.
I know who you're.
I'll find it and share it in like 2 seconds here.
Yes.
But I swear, within our team, there's been like 8 people who have shared that in different Slack channels. It was BuzzSumo's article.
It was BuzzSumo.
Analyzed 1 million headlines. Here's what we learned, right? So there's really super deep research pieces on topics that the entire industry cares about. Like every single marketer wants to know what there is to learn about a million headlines, right?
Totally.
And I think ultimately it's like that's the perfect gut check for something in go viral is like, do a lot of people care about this? Cat on a treadmill. Yeah, absolutely. People care about that a lot, right?
Right.
The Super Bowl. Yep, a lot of people care about that. Prime Day, a lot of people care about that.
Yeah.
Yep. Funny things on the internet.
Right.
Yep.
I love the balance of knowing your audience, knowing your industry, not looking like you're trying too hard, but also making good stuff and making stuff that's good and timed well. And that is maybe the into the possibility of, but not just for the sake of the outcome, should you pursue the outcome itself.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks again to you guys for your brains. That was our roundtable. We're going to be back in 1 second here, and we're going to be taking some questions that came from our social accounts. Stick with us. Would you like to be featured on ConversionCast? Leave us a short voicemail at 612-568-8732 with your name, the name of your business, and your very best marketing tip. You could be featured on an upcoming episode of ConversionCast just like this. So give us a call and share your marketing expertise with us. We can't wait to hear from you. This past week, we had some great questions come in on our Twitter and Facebook feeds for Leadpages and Drip. Marketers out there looking for a little bit of advice on their businesses and some best practices. We've got a couple quick ones to share today, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on these as well. We've got Bryant Wong who wants to know successful formulas for writing copy. He asks, do you start with a pain point and go to solution, or what have you found to be most effective? I might put Liz on the spot here as a in-house writer here at the Leadpages and Drip teams. Any formulas in your mind right now? Things you think of?
Well, the first thing that came to mind is it really depends what kind of copy you are writing, who you're writing for. And it changes if you're trying to write long form copy versus just a quick, 50-word blurb about something.
Yep.
But what I usually find to be effective and most useful is if I remove myself from the task at hand and ask myself the questions that I'm supposed to be writing about, or really just step back and make a list of what are the things I find most interesting about this topic that I'm supposed to be writing about. And that could be spurred from a pain point that you get from someone in your audience, someone who's asking a question, and you could take that pain point and step back and be like, what do I think about this? Like, what do I really think about this? And what would I find most useful in this? Because I'm not, I'm just a writer. I'm not an expert in a lot of things. And so that's usually where I start, at least with writing my outline for any sort of copy, and then go from there. And then, of course, you have your classic writing like must-haves, which is, use action verbs like in your headlines, to motivate people to take action. Use very readable copy. Don't make things too complex that people will check out or glaze over it. Things like that. So
for sure.
I feel like really good writers, they tend to not have to employ very rigid systems, right? I feel like the rest of us I feel like those formulas are out there, like Bryant is asking, things like inverted pyramid. That's a classic one, right? And that's a very old school journalism type thing. A lot of blogs use this, right, where the most important detail is up at the top, and then the next most, and the next most, and the next most, and the next most. That's how like journalism's been done for many, many years. And I think actually that was the first wave of content marketing. You saw a lot of inverted pyramid being used, and then as time's moved on, I think everybody was doing that, and so now you're actually seeing a lot more what I'm seeing people use, like bucket brigades is what they're calling it, where essentially every single thought is another paragraph. It's like, here's a sentence, that's a paragraph, and then another one, and then another one, and it just kind of ends up being like this 5,000 word epic piece, right? And I feel like that's where like all the folks are telling content marketers to move. And so, but like you said, there's a lot of different types of writing. And so that's just content marketing. And then on sales pages, you've got stuff like that too. Yeah. We should put in our show notes, our own colleague and friend, Kat Von Rohr, she has done an amazing copywriter workshop that we can give away to anybody who's watching. It's really good video course that Kat put together.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll link to that too, for sure. Will DeShazo, I think it's DeShazo, it may be DeShazo, I apologize. He wants to know about retargeting audiences on Facebook. I really like this question. What are the best retargeting offers or giveaways for lead generation through this channel, or would you go straight to sale? And I think this is an interesting question. I know that there's probably the first two words are it depends, and it does depend, but any first thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, know who you're retargeting, right?
Sure.
So know where they are at within the sales cycle or the sales process. Or have they opted into multiple things and just haven't purchased yet? Then you might want to be trying to go for the sale. Yeah. Or if they still need some more education and they're just really interested in learning a little bit more about the company and what types of solutions you offer and how it can affect their business, then provide them with some additional content, but just kind of know who you're targeting and know where they're at in the process.
I like that, being informed by your data to make that choice.
That's definitely good. One example of a campaign that we ran last year that was really effective, and I didn't think that it would be this effective, but it really was. So the Monday before Thanksgiving, we put a landing page out there, and then we took our entire just main retargeting list, like retargeting for folks who haven't purchased our product. Yep. And we sent all that traffic to this landing page, and we said, Friday, Black Friday, we're gonna do something crazy. We're gonna do a promotion. Fill out this form if you wanna be informed. Right. And we got leads for, I think, the cheapest I've ever seen, and from a paid channel, of course. And then we took that lead list and then sent them an email on Friday, and were able to get a lot of sales out of that. So that was just an example of how we took people from one spot in the funnel, like our big cookie list, and we transferred those into leads. And then, we just brought them one step down the funnel, and then we brought them from leads to sales too. So I think thinking about it holistically in terms of it's a consumer journey, it's a funnel, whatever you want to call it, and then trying to figure out what's the most cost-effective way to get them to move. If you've got a huge cookie pool and they haven't purchased yet, try and turn them into leads. If you have a huge cookie pool and that's your cheapest source of new customers, don't mess with it. Just keep trying to get sales from it.
Awesome.
Lookalike audiences, those are another one that I think a lot of people underutilized, right? Take your existing customers, turn that into a list, start bidding on that list.
Yep, totally. Beautiful. Thank you very much. That wraps up our social Q&A for the week. That also wraps up this week's episode of ConversionCast. Josh, Liz, Brandon, thank you so much for joining us this week. Liz, your first time. How'd it feel?
It was fantastic.
You nailed it.
What a thrill,
We'll have you back.
Hey, thanks.
Awesome. And thank you all for joining us this week. As with every week, we will be back next week. Please do, wherever you are, give us a like or a comment or a share. We'd love to know what you're thinking about ConversionCast, so we can make the show even better for you. We'll be back next week, and we'll see you then.